This one move would unlock the San Antonio Spurs. Little things have been holding the San Antonio Spurs back from being the contender that we know they can be. An article broke down one move that can unlock the San Antonio Spurs, and the GOAT, the guy, Gregg Popovich, has broken his silence. We're going to talk about that and break down this one thing that will unlock the San Antonio Spurs here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. We appreciate all of you guys here from the Spurs Digest media family. That is Josh, that is Brian, that is myself, and that's the great people we have here at Digest Media. You guys have helped make this channel grow into something special, and we continue to do that moving into 2025. But for the people viewing this, if you haven't yet, take a spur of the moment, get every Spurs moment moving forward by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss the daily content that we're going to have. At the end of the day, we just love the San Antonio Spurs, and we love this guy right here. Gregg Popovich breaks his silence on his stroke as the Spurs legend does remain out. So Gregg Popovich, of course, first public comment since his mild stroke that he had, 75 years old, had the medical event before a game in early November and has been away from the Spurs ever since. Mitch Johnson has been there. He's been doing a good job with this roster. Of course, he is not Gregg Popovich. No one is Gregg Popovich. But for a guy coming in and doing an interim job, he is doing a good job as an interim. And he made his statement through social media, and we're going to go through the entire statement. And he had this to say here. This has certainly been an unexpected 6 weeks for my family and me. As we work together on my recovery, I want to take a moment to share that the outpouring of support we've received during this time has truly been truly overwhelming in the best possible way. While I wish I could get back to each one of you, for now, let me say that my family and I are forever grateful. We're thankful for our wonderful community, the entire Spurs organization, and our family and friends. No one, he ended it like this, and obviously Gregg Popovich loves to have his little bit of humor, and that's what we love about him. No one is more excited to see me return to the bench than the talented individuals who have been leading my rehabilitation process. They've quickly learned that I'm less than coachable. And hey, when you are a coach, sometimes it's hard to be coached because you want to do things your way, a certain way, and that's why he is so great, because he has such a great mind for just the game, and he has such a great mind for life. And in life right now, obviously, we need to keep his support there. So Spurs family, as we continue to keep that support for Gregg Popovich as he goes through this recovery, because of course he is the key to everything San Antonio has been over the last 30 years. An exact timetable for Gregg Popovich's return not specified. He's been head coaching the Spurs since 96-97, 5 championships, 6 finals appearances. Obviously the record 14-01 and 834 in the regular season, 170 postseason wins, again including those 5 championships that he does have under his belt. It's been a great ride, obviously, with Pop so far, and we know it's nearing the end, but we just hope that it can go ceremoniously and it doesn't end in something unceremonious. So again, Spurs family, here, Gregg Popovich, if for some reason, I hope you do, but if you do see this, we're all wishing you well here from the Spurs Digest family. We appreciate everything you have brought to the San Antonio Spurs organization and to this team here, and giving us the lovely content and the ability to talk about you guys at the volume that we do. But moving forward here, you see this is the standings. Without Gregg Popovich, his team would still remain to be a 500 ball club. You've got I'm in the 11th spot right now, just a game back of the Lakers and the Clippers, a game and a half back of the Timberwolves, the Suns, and the Warriors, teams that started off hot. But all of these teams, 11, 12, 10 losses. You really have the Thunder that have pulled themselves away with 5 thus far. Other than that, these teams aren't far away loss-wise. A good run will get you in the mix of the top 4. The Spurs are right there. And the Spurs' biggest problem this year has been first quarter slow starts. And we are going to get right into that. The Spurs' new frenemy bites them in a disappointing display in the Timberwolves loss. The Spurs can fix some of their issues pretty easily. This is Jaleel Williams. He's wrote about this. I agree, and we're going to break it down here. The Spurs developed a toxic relationship with slow first quarter starts, and this time they couldn't overcome it. Of course, they just lost their last game to the Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday. Over this, the dynamic has been at the core for the Spurs' losses over the last month and has appeared in quite a few of their wins. It's persistent. It's awful. It won't go away, but it takes two to tango. The silver and black have only themselves to blame, and that is true. They just cannot get themselves off to a good start in these games. Once they do, and once they get rolling, this team is tough to beat because they play defense at a high level. They play offense at a high level, especially when they're hitting from the outside the arc and when they're getting in transition to really get the ball moving there. But the Spurs must do a better job of getting their stars going because their stars clearly are the ones that are starting the game. That's why they're starting the game. That's why they're starters. Black Panther movie, of course. The hero sister tells him she's developed update. He insists the tech worked perfectly, to which she had replies, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Obviously, if you don't broke the anecdote, it's not broke, don't fix it. Just because it's good doesn't mean it can't be improved. Of course, we're always trying to get better. We're always trying to improve and grow. And in this situation, we need to do the same thing. The Spurs need to take that same mindset with the starting lineup. And of course, we understand the injuries have been a part of this. Sochan's missed time, Wemby's missed time, Vassell's missed time. Really, everybody on the team, Castle has missed time. So we understand that it's been a rotating door and you can't get a consistent starting lineup. But Devin Vassell is not Manu. This is the change. Inserting Devin Vassell back into the starting lineup. He is the game changer. He is the guy who can go get buckets at a premium. You have, obviously, Victor Wembanyama. He is a superstar. You always have your superstar. Every team's got their superstar that's going to compete. You need that second guy. Stephon Castle, not ready yet. He's young. He plays defense at an extremely high level. He comes up with great energy. This is great to have off the bench, a guy who is going to change the pace. Think of your every down back or even your first two down back and then your third down back when you're talking football. You've got to shout David Montgomery. Unfortunately, you're out for the season now, but think David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, even though Gibbs is great. Obviously, I think Gibbs is better than Montgomery, but just you got that thunder, you got that bruiser who's going to go in, and then you got Jahmyr Gibbs to change the pace, and he's going to keep the change of things. That's where Stephon Castle can come in. But you need that steady force and a guy in Devin Vassell who is a rhythm basketball player. And when he catches a rhythm, he goes to his routine, goes to the starting lineup, he's in the game, he gets the first shots, he can get himself into a rhythm early. And when he's in a rhythm and he's able to get to 20, 25, 30 plus points, which we've seen him put out in outbursts, of course, when he gets to that, that's when this team's at its most dangerous, because you don't just worry about the 7'4" guy in the middle who obviously can take you outside. You have to worry about Vassell getting off the bounce one-on-one, and then you shade over. That's where overhelp comes. That's where the Spurs ball movement, which is classic, comes in, and you grow and you're able to execute at a high level. I mean, this year so far, you've got Vassell 16 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. 47% from the floor, 40 from 3. So he's been pretty efficient, especially from the 3-point line. Last year, he was close to 20 points a game, and that is lower. You can tell he doesn't have the same kind of burst, and he's looking more and reliant on his threes. Just in watching him, he's not getting downhill as much, and that's understandable because of the fact of his injury. But he is also a player that if you can get him into his rhythm, he'll change the entire complexion of the roster. And when you go and sit Wemby at the 6-minute mark, as you do with a Vassell that's already in rhythm, it's going to help from the offense going stagnant, especially when your best player is on the bench. And so from there, the silver and black need Dev's games clicking to reach the heights they attempt to climb. Of course, you've got Sochan, who doesn't really have one of those games that needs to be maneuvered. Like, he just has one of those plug-and-play kind of games. energy, defense, hustle, effort. If he's shooting well, that's a plus. But just those kind of things, getting downhill, making layups, you don't really need to get him involved that way. Victor Wembanyama is so good, you have to get him involved, and it's not really even something you got to think about. He is someone you've got to concern yourself with and get him going. You can change him from a fringe all-star to Lou Williams with this game plan. That is an interesting take there. I do like it, but at the same time, Devin Vassell, it was thought to be a guy who could be a true all-star, a guy who could perpetually be there, obviously competing with the great guards in the Western Conference. But with Devin Vassell moving himself into that situation, I believe that the San Antonio Spurs will be able to propel themselves up the standings. They go from a place of being at 11 where they can usurp the Lakers, the Clippers, even the Warriors, the Timberwolves. These are all teams that are older. These are all teams with aging players who started off hot. The Clippers did. The Warriors were one of the best teams. The Lakers started off hot. But now you're seeing it get back to those younger teams that we expected. The Timberwolves are climbing back up there. Phoenix is kind of in the middle. They have been all season, at least, but a little higher. The Rockets have surprised. The Grizzlies up there. The Nuggets up there. The Mavericks are up there as well. So a lot of these teams can get got, especially if one injury away for a lot of these teams to dropping down. The Spurs just need to be right there. They 44 and 38 in the 8th seed is what I said from the start of the season. They can get there now. Devin Vassell being inserted to the starting lineup would give them a jolt that I believe they need. Stephon Castle moving to the bench. You still have other players who can be impact players, and you still have scoring off the bench, especially when you have Keldon Johnson. You've still got Tre Jones when he's playing. You've got obviously Castle, as I had said, Julian Champagnie. You've got him shooting off the bench. So there's a lot that can be done with this roster, and we'll see what Pop pulls his strings. Hopefully he is back soon. Whenever he is back, he is back. We'll probably see him in I would think early to mid-January would be probably when we see him back. But that is Spurs Digest. Let me know in the comments what you think about Devin Vassell going into the starting lineup, or do you think he's fine off the bench? I actually asked this question last time, and then the article came out, and we were on the same wavelength there. I'm really interested to see what your guys' thoughts are, but this has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will be seeing you guys very soon.